Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your TLC 2018 review. And boy, oh boy, was this ever a boring show. And if you think that Vince McMahon appearing on Raw tonight is going to change anything, you're sadly mistaken, is all I'm going to say. Anyway, we'll get to that a little bit later on in the review, but let's start off from the top. R-Truth and Carmella defeated Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox, and you might be asking yourselves if you didn't watch this show, what the fuck was this doing on the show? So it's the finals of Mixed Match Challenge. I don't even believe that this match was even advertised. I mean, that's okay. There's been matches even during the Attitude Era that were unadvertised, but be that as it may, this just feels like a cheap ass match. You're looking at two guys that at one period in time, R-Truth was a main eventer. Jinder Mahal was the WWE champion, and here they are in a mixed match challenge match. And so the stipulation of who the winner is that they get the number 30 spot in their respective Royal Rumbles. So R-Truth and Carmella are gonna get their number 30 spot. Are either one going to win? I don't think so. It's a real shame because you look at R-Truth and he's got so much charisma. He's got, so much upside. I mean, the guy has a look to him. He's one of the best in shape wrestlers on the roster. And the fact that they haven't done anything significant with this guy since 2011 when he was in the ring with The Rock, it really says something. I mean, what did he do? What changed that they felt that, that he couldn't be a big star? Was this one of those experiments, just like Jack Swagger or Rusev when they start blaming the wrestlers because, they're not getting over to the level that they want, but never taking responsibility on their own creative team? So, after the match, they're going to, they get to choose where they want to travel. That's also the other thing, too. They win this match, and not only do they get a number 30 spot, but they get to vacation anywhere they want in the world. It's like they're wrestlers. They're probably making a pretty decent salary. I don't think that they really need a giveaway. And then R-Truth, they build it up like he's going to pick some exotic place, and Carmella's getting all excited. Where are they going to go? And then he says, we're going to go to WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. First of all, if they were going to do a joke, you maybe think that he could have said something a little bit more funny. He could have, said we're going to Newark, New Jersey or something like that, just something random, but he says WWE headquarters. Ha ha ha, that's so funny. You're gonna vacation at the headquarters. First of all, it's this is your pay-per-view. This is how you want to go out. This is how you want people to remember 2018. And then they're going to have WWE Week on the USA Network. And I think on Wednesday, this week, I think it is, they're going to have, the best of 2018. And they have, New Day saying, so many great moments. Really? Okay, let's think back to... And I'm going to be making my own list. But instead, it's probably going to be the worst moments of 2018, because last year I did the worst moments of 2017, so it's only right that I make a new list for this year, so you can look forward to that. But so many memorable moments, what do we even remember about this year? A whole bunch of injuries, low ratings, lack of interest, lack of direction, horrible pay-per-views, horrible Raws, horrible SmackDowns. Nobody gaining any steam, nobody getting pushed. It was a great year. Top it off with, of course, this is out of their control, but, you would think with like Roman Reigns getting sick that, you know, maybe they'd want to up the mood a little bit and it would inspire them to try to make the product better. But even that's not enough. They're so selfish, you know, that they won't even try to improve the product based on those merits. Like, okay, so this was a completely worthless, such a fucking bad way to open up a pay-per-view. I mean, this is your last pay-per-view of the year. Go out on a high note, for God's sakes. Then we had The Bar defeating the Usos and New Day. And all I can say here is I am so sick to death of seeing these fucking teams wrestle each other. Now, The Bar is a very good tag team. I love The Bar and the Usos. New Day I'm completely sick of. Their antics are so beyond annoying. And now I can't believe that I've like even have to say this, that we're like going on to the 5th year of having New Day as a tag team. Do you think maybe that's a little bit excessive? I mean, this is not like the Road Warriors. This is, you know, it's like, okay, I understand if they were a really amazing team, you never want to break them up like the Road Warriors, but they're not the Road Warriors. I mean, for God's sakes, break them up already. Do something different. Have Big E take advantage of that man's size and power and do something with them. I do something different. I mean, are they going to be locked into the same routine with the pancakes and, you know, the stupid sophomoric humor? I mean, like, will it ever stop? Or are they just going to keep doing this on repeats? Because as you can see, like, it's not working. Guys, oh, you're so scared of losing merchandise sales. Okay, well, you're losing ratings. The ratings are plummeting as you refuse to do nothing different. And still, and the funny thing is, it's like it's not even that good. Who cares if the merchandise sales are good? The whole product is failing. So you could count your merchandise sales and you could, you know, say goodbye to any good sponsors because they don't want to sponsor your show because, you know, your ratings are so fucking low. I understand, like, their mentality. They want to build a brand. They don't care about building stars. But they don't want to take the necessary steps to have a good show so their brand would be worth more. Like, they want to focus on the brand, but failing to realize that they need stars to build their brand. And the more and more I think about this, the more and more reviews and rants I do, and I talk about it with you guys, you just realize just like how fucking horrible a company like this is. Now, in 2018, we saw numerous companies go under, go out of business and everything. But, you know, and they failed to survive. And it's like, you know, I guess the 2018 was the year of the clueless companies that refused to evolve. They refuse to take chances and do different things. And, you know, this is just another product of their ignorance and their refusal and their stubbornness to continue to do things the same way. So Braun Strowman actually comes out to face Corbin when Corbin is about to, you know, get the victory by forfeit, and he's going to become the permanent GM. But Strowman gets help from a whole bunch of other wrestlers. They all hit him with steel chairs. You know, it was Apollo Crews, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable. Who else was out there? You had, Smiling Finn Balor came out. They all smashed him with chairs. And, you know, and then Strowman just ends up getting the pin after they all beat him up. You know, they hit finishers and everything on them. And Finn Balor's there smiling like a goofball. Yeah. So, you know, he gets the pin, and he's not the GM of Raw anymore. He's, you know, I guess he'll go back. Oh, and I almost forgot. And Kurt Angle was one of the people who came out. So Kurt was back, and, you know, I don't know where he's been. There was, you know, it's funny. It's like he comes out, and you would think that, well, we'll get to that later on in the review. So, you know, Angle comes back, gets the Angle slam, and that leads to Strowman getting the pin. Okay, so, you know, I don't know. They didn't announce Angle getting the position back or anything like that. We just, move on. Strowman is he's going to get a world title shot at the Royal Rumble. So I guess they're thinking he's probably going to be close to 100% by that point. But whatever. He didn't really lay a finger on Braun. His arm was in a sling, so he couldn't do anything physical. That just, I don't know, something about this. I already said, like, when they do a beatdown, it just goes on and on. It's like the quicker the better. They should have just sped it up a bit or something. And just something about this moment. Like, wouldn't it have been better to maybe save this for, I don't know, maybe an episode of Raw or something, and McMahon could come out at the end and be like, "You're fired," at the end, something like that. Instead, it's just like, Strowman beats him and they just make the announcement. It just felt kind of cold, just boring, just the whole, like, continuing the trend here. Like, this was supposed to be a big moment on the show, and Angle came back, but it didn't even feel triumphant when he came back. And even, like, the announcers, this has always been a thing also. The announcers don't even get into it. Angle's back, everybody thought that he had gone away after the whole Drew McIntyre match. He comes back, and I was like, oh, Kurt Angle's back. Like, it's not even like a surprise or anything. It's just like, oh, there he is. Also what the funny thing is, too, like, who didn't even appear in this match? It would have been, there's a couple of things here before we move on, actually, because I'm thinking about it more now. So, you might be asking yourself, where was Elias or anything? How come he didn't come out to get his revenge on Corbin after how he was treated? Well, that's because he was too busy in the pre-show with Bobby Lashley. Like, their most charismatic star. Like, it just shows, I've talked about it all year, how they shit on this guy. No WrestleMania match. No SummerSlam match. No, they couldn't even get on a B pay-per-view. Like TLC, couldn't even get on the last show of the year. And his match was announced, but they bumped it to the pre-show. And Bobby Lashley is not there. And also, how come Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre didn't try to help out Baron Corbin during this match? Did anybody find that a little bit odd? Like, all the faces coming out. Wouldn't the heels try to help Corbin since it would benefit them? Nope. Nowhere to be seen. The baby faces just wreak havoc on the heel, and that's it. That's what I'm saying. It's like, the consistency. It's just, it's like, oh, we just want to kind of get the baby faces to have their revenge and everything. And it's like, the baby faces, like Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, they already won the tag titles. It's not like, these guys were really struggling, and it would be different if they all got beat down on Raw, but Apollo Crews was like smiling during the mixed match challenge match on Raw, so it's not like they were too beaten up about Baron Corbin's treatment of them. And what does Apollo Crews have against Baron Corbin? Like I said, he he had his hands in a very questionable position on Sasha Banks last week. Doesn't really have a lot to, be upset about. The hell is this guy like doing out there even? And then we had Natalya defeating Ruby Riott in a tables match, and like, okay, so the girls, they tried their best in this match and everything. I've talked about it. Ruby Riott seems like she's improving. Natalya is just not the star that she could be. I always say this is Jim the Anvil Neidhart's daughter. And, like, okay, now that he's, gone, they're really pushing it heavily. She takes the time during a tables match, which should be like a tooth and nail fight, right? She takes the time to put Jim the Anvil Neidhart's jacket on. Like, she's got time to take a break to put on a fucking jacket during a match. Just looks stupid. And she pulls out a table from under the ring that has a portrait of Ruby Riott on it, because on Raw, Ruby Riott brought out a table that had Jim the Anvil Neidhart's photo on it. So, they wanted to be poetic. They wanted to kind of, give the match a little something. I'll give them credit for that, but it's just plain goofy. Printing people's images. And then, what was it, Michael Cole, who said, oh, wait a, Ruby Riott gets a load of her image on the table. She never even saw it. I mean, if she did see it, she probably would have given a goofy ass reaction anyway, like probably like the Finn Balor or Bray Wyatt face. Remember that? So I mean, maybe it's good they didn't do that, but like, if she didn't even get to see it, what was the point of even doing that? So she ends up going through the table. Natalia power bombs her through with her image on, and I guess it's supposed to be really poetic and everything like that. Okay, it didn't really do a lot for me. There was nothing really on the line this match, no title, no nothing. It was just a grudge match for the sake of having one, and they really struggled. Like, if you're going to get heat off of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and you're going to like, push that envelope, because like I don't have a problem with them getting heat. I know like there's people on here in the YWC, and I even watch, like Danielson, for example, doing his rant. I could kind of see why people say it might be in poor taste. But really, guys, it's wrestling. It's all about heat. It doesn't matter. I think that it's good. It's controversial. I think sometimes we kind of, lose sight of these things. It's like, remember, it's just acting. It's not real. We could get into it and say it's disrespectful and all that. But, you got to remember, these wrestlers are in the business. It's not supposed to be about squeaky clean. You're watching wrestling. I think people lose sight of that sometimes. I think they think it's all about being good people and everything like that. It's not what it's about. It's about entertaining. It's about telling a story. Maybe they don't need to go that far. And maybe the fact that the show's not even good, even though they have to, get to that level, it's probably what people have. But I disagree. I think if you could do it well, that it's probably worth it. And they just did it poorly. So there wasn't even really a point in doing this type of heat. Storyline's probably over. There's not really anywhere they could go with it. I don't know where you could go with these girls anyway. Like everybody, they've completely butchered their careers. Natalia's always crying every 2 seconds, so I don't know what more they could do with her. Finn Balor defeated Drew McIntyre after interference from Dolph Ziggler. I mean, guys, okay, they know that everybody, from smarks to casuals to everybody in between, everybody wants to see Drew McIntyre be their next big star. But I guess he's getting a little bit too much of an upside where they feel they got to knock him down a few pegs. And see, this is why they never grow as a company. And they keep, Vince McMahon is going to be there on Raw. Okay, great. So they already knew that Vince McMahon was going to be out there on Raw. They already admitted they were having a bad show and everything. They were booking poorly. They had bad segments. They admitted to all of it. So with that in mind, why would you go ahead and have Drew McIntyre get beat by Finn Balor? Oh, okay, well, you could, they protected him by having Dolph Ziggler interfere. I don't give a shit if they protected him or not. He shouldn't be losing, especially to Finn Balor of all people. A match like this, Drew McIntyre should have ripped his fucking ass apart. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this guy should be challenging Brock Lesnar. This guy, is a believable, monster heel. He's a psychopath. And he's getting beat by Finn Balor, this guy that, he's in good shape, I always say, but it's like he's a small guy. He's got his build is significantly less than Drew McIntyre. McIntyre is like 6'7". This guy is closer to 300 pounds. Finn Balor is not even 200 pounds. I mean, he should kill him. But, and the funny thing is, it was like they didn't even tout his record all year. When they had him get beat by Ziggler, they were like, oh, wait, he hasn't got pinned all year. Oh, but by the way, Ziggler just beat him, so that record no longer stands. And so what happens 2-3 weeks later? They have him get beat again. And there was no reason for him to get beat here. It's like, you know, first of all, Finn Balor, you have him win like a match every couple of months, it seems. So like, you don't even like the guy. So don't even bother with him then. Yeah, I don't get it. It's like once in a while they throw the Smarks a bone. Oh, they love Finn Balor has nothing about him screams push me. The guy doesn't really have a look at all. He doesn't have a presence to him. Hell, you know, if you're going to talk about even like, I don't even get it with the Smarks. Like, what does he do in the ring that's so great? The stomp? Is that like, you know, jumping on people with both feet? Is that really an impressive fucking move? I've talked about this shit for over 2 years. I never get the finisher. I don't get any of it. I mean, if he's gonna beat Drew, can he at least maybe be the Demon? Could he at least not look like a normal motherfucker? I mean, is that possible? Does he have to look like the honest to goodness, the plainest fucking wrestler on the planet? I mean, you look at Drew McIntyre, you see a star. This guy's built like a fucking tank. He looks incredible. He acts great. He's a good wrestler. I mean, Drew McIntyre gets it, but they're not letting him be all he could be. And then I feel like they're going to pull out of his stock completely in like a few months. And they're going to want, oh, gee, why didn't he get over? Oh, I wonder if it had anything to do with him having him fucking lose all the time to these little dudes that, first of all, like having him lose to Dolph Ziggler. Again, just like Finn Balor, you don't even like Dolph Ziggler. You've fucked him up for how many years? You've had him in obscurity for how many years? So what was the point of him even losing to these guys? Like, you're better off having him lose to a Roman Reigns or a Bobby Lashley or an Elias or somebody like that that could maybe benefit off the victory. You know, then you could honestly say, like, okay, well, he lost to those guys. Those are some big guys. Those are some tough, powerful guys. I could definitely see that. But he's losing to the smaller guys. I mean, you know, seriously, what do you say to something like this? I mean, Vince McMahon's going to come and shake things up. I mean, they've been doing that shit for years. Every single time the ratings drop a little bit, it's time to shake things up. It's always like a little thing, like adding a new GM. Like I said, I would not expect much tonight at all from Vince McMahon and his announcement. From old man Vince, who looks like his face is about to melt off. He's in amazing shape for his age. But my God, Vince McMahon does not really have the presence that he used to. So I'm not really looking forward to it that much. Curious to see what he's going to say, but I would not expect much. Rey Mysterio defeated Randy Orton in the chairs match. This was boring. I'm sorry, guys, but, you know, it's like, I have to keep telling myself, Rey Mysterio's back. He hasn't been there for like 4 or 5 years. Comes back, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm not even excited, like, for this match. Okay, I like the spot where he slid out of the ring with the chair on his chest for the splash. The finish was kind of cool, you know, where he, like, did the victory roll off of the chairs, but aside from that, I wasn't feeling this match. Just like everything tonight, I wasn't feeling it. It just, everything was boring. Nothing had any, like, oomph behind it. It was all just, like, very slow pace, very, you know, and we'll get to it. So, like, I didn't like this either. Ronda Rousey defeated Nia Jax. Like, once again, like, Ronda's a great worker. She sells, but, like, we've already seen this match. It's just now, you know, Nia Jax is full-on heel as opposed to, you know, not just, like, a tweener character. So, she has her tap out. Okay, it's like, I'm usually excited for the Ronda Rousey match. I'm not saying it was a bad match, but once again, it was just another slow-paced, boring match. I just wasn't into it. I couldn't get into anything on this show. I mean, you know, and also, like, Ronda hitting the powerbomb out of the corner. Didn't they just do that move to finish the Natalia Ruby match? And that didn't even end the match. Okay, it's a tables match, so there's different rules, but I'm just saying it's like, I believe in that mentality that if you're going to perform a big move and make it a big spot, it should not be repeated again throughout the night. I'm saying that just kills it. So, like, it was supposed to be the biggest spot of the match, right? Nia Jax looks like she's going for the Samoa drop. Rousey reverses it, hits the power bomb out of the corner. I'm just like, we just saw that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, these wrestlers, I always say it all the time, they're giving it their all. But I mean, like, you should not be repeating spots. There's no point in doing this spot. We already saw that. Why are you doing it again? You just killed any type of uniqueness. And it wasn't even like that was a great match, Natalya and Ruby Riott. But, just, let them have their spot. But you're going to repeat it anyway. Like, Daniel Bryan defeated AJ Styles again. Again. Like, this should be a great match. But it was just slow and plotting and just like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't wait for it to be over. And I'm talking about a Daniel Bryan match where I said, like, first of all, I can't believe I'm even saying that. Like, I was looking forward to, like, this match a few months ago when they said they were going to do AJ and Bryan. Remember, and I thought it was going to be on Crown Jewel. I was like, oh, I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to see that match because it's going to be on Crown Jewel and I'm not going to be watching that show. But, so they do it on SmackDown. It's just like every match that they've had, it's like, this is not how I expected it to go. And I guess it's just because there hasn't been anything behind it to get me excited. I'm going into it cold. And I know what you're going to say. There's been matches before that I've reviewed and I said they end up being good. But it wasn't. Nothing was grabbing me. They didn't do anything special in this match. Nothing psychology-wise. I mean, compared to the great match that Bryan had with Brock Lesnar last month, I mean, it's quite a step down. Then you had Dean Ambrose defeating Seth Rollins to capture the IC title, and like, man, oh man, like, you talk about a match that just completely went off the rails. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but this might have been the worst match on the card, just simply based on the fact that it should have been so much better. I mean, okay, I have my qualms, my many, many qualms with Seth Rollins. And everybody says that Seth Rollins is an incredible wrestler. He's, the MVP of WWE. Yeah, you better believe it, Brad. I'm the MVP. Yeah, I know you are. But, the thing is, it's like, you're too spotty, you don't sell well, oh, who cares about selling? It's all about the flips I do. Watch me do my Falcon Arrow. I mean, he did hit that move, of course, well into the match after he shouldn't be able to do it, but, he's a great worker, guys, right? Okay, first of all, with this match, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, everyone's just walking to the ring doing their normal entrance. Dean Ambrose said, Roman Reigns deserved cancer. He got what he deserved. You would think that they were going tooth and nail. The minute they got in, they would rush down to the ramp, old school style. When Stone Cold had a grudge match, he'd be running down to the ring to kick the other guy's ass. Or at least if they did the entrances, they'd start off with a fist fight. How does it start off? They start trash talking and then they go into a collar and elbow tie-up. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've noticed where they've done this. Where they just, like, it's a grudge match for the IC title, and, like, it should be all pent up and aggressive, and, like, you guys already know they're going to do the women's match last, because it doesn't matter if it's not getting ratings, they got to have the women go on last, but we're going to get to that. So, they have this match, and it's the slowest, most boring match I've ever, I've seen in a while. Like, that's a big, main event match like this. Main event for the men, anyway. So, they've been building this up. It's been prolonged due to Survivor Series, And they've had some horrible, cringy build, like, the gas mask shit, and you people smell, oh my god, such horrible build up getting here. And all I wanted to do was just see this match. I mean, okay, Seth Rollins is capable of having a good match sometimes. He might not sell, but it's still possible. It's been done in the past. I've seen it. I've credited when he's had a decent match, but this was not a good match. And first of all, okay, so on commentary, Corey Graves is giving Renee Young a hard time about Ambrose being her husband, and it's like, why do they keep Renee so quiet? It's like, it's almost like she doesn't even live with the guy, like she's married to him. So you'd think she'd know more about him. So she's like a good person, the good friendly face commentator that that just happens to be with the biggest heel in the company. He's saying that people deserve cancer and everything, and he's putting down the whole crowd. And like, once again, WWE is playing it safe. No, don't trot Renee out there, maybe. And it's like, she's an attractive girl. Why not have her as Ambrose's like arm candy? Whatever, make her psychotic just like him. What would be wrong with that? That would add to Ambrose's presentation. It'd be so much better. And, I'm not the only one saying this. Taz has said this. Russo has said this. A number of others have said this. It's like, it's a weird type of situation they got. Like, they want Renee to be the first ever Raw, women's announcer. But then they also want to have Ambrose out there too and make him one of the bigger stars on the show, but not have any continuity there. It's just ridiculous already. It really is. Like, I'm sorry, but you just can't have her on commentary with him in the ring and be treating it like, oh, I'm going to be professional and not comment too much on it, but Corey's like taking shots and Renee's retorts just sound very artificial and they sound like she's holding back. It's like, this show is just so unbearable. Because you know what the thing is? I look at this show and I always talk about it all the time. There's potential to have a good show. Honestly, like, there's so many opportunities on this very show where they could have had a good show. They could have done things. They could have shaken it up. They could have done a lot of different things on this show differently that would have been more exciting. They could have rebooked the show, had surprises, done, interesting finishes and stuff. But instead, it's all mundane, all by the numbers, playing it safe once again. You guys, Your numbers are in the toilet. They got to the point where you even acknowledged it on Raw, and you still went out there and had a shitty ass pay-per-view. And you know what the icing on the cake was of the shit fucking Sunday? Was the simple fact that the fans, yes, the in-house crowd, the smarks there, they chanted, "This is boring," during a Seth Rollins match of all people, right? Wasn't that the guy that they had come out there? He's the voice of the voiceless, the voice of the smarks, right? He's going to speak for the people. Oh, you know what this show needs? The revival and tag team matches. I mean, that's exactly what Raw needed. It's funny that they even said that, but it's like the revival wasn't even on the pay-per-view. I don't know. I guess it was kind of like Colt Cabana's little, mention by CM Punk. But you had people saying that it was pipe bomb number 2. Like, actually comparing it to CM Punk. And you know what's funny? It was like, I love this page on Instagram. I'm sure many of you probably follow it as well. Pipe Bomb News. And he was saying like, he liked Seth Rollins, promo, but, even the fact that he even tried to compare it at all to the CM Punk pipe bomb, it's like, first of all, CM Punk's mic skills compared to Seth freaking Rollins is just laughable by itself. We don't even need to go to the pipe bomb. CM Punk has a charisma that has not been seen since the last time he was there. CM Punk has a presence, he has a look, he has a lot of things going for him that Seth Rollins simply does not have. Seth Rollins doesn't have a personality, especially now that he's a plain old, hoorah baby face. But here they are chanting, and like, you know, and the finish was just weird. It's like, you know, Rollins is so put these stupid facial expressions. You know, Dean Ambrose goes in for the fist pound, the Shield fist pound, and Rollins looks at it, he thinks about it, and all of a sudden he like all out of nowhere, just fucking like raging like an idiot, like like out of nowhere, his fucking eyes popping out of his head. Like, have you ever seen anybody like act like that? That could only work with certain wrestlers with those types of facial expressions, and I will tell you firsthand, Rollins is not one of those wrestlers that could get away with those type of faces. He just looked fucking goofy as fuck. He looked really stupid doing it. And you know, the way the match just kind of ends, he just hits him with a DDT. It made Rollins look like a dumbass. Like, oh, he starts like hulking up in his own way, and Ambrose just kind of pops him with a DDT, and that's it. And that really was a boring match. And you know what was funny? Like, more than halfway through the match, they finally start slugging it out, and they stop doing wrestling moves. And Corey Graves goes like, "Oh, well, I'm surprised it took them this long." Like, once again, completely exposing their own product. Yes, exactly. Why did it take them so long? That's the way the match should have kicked off. And I'm sick of seeing these stupid-looking punches. Like, these guys are in the male main event, I guess you could call it, and they're throwing these fucking ridiculous-looking baby punches, little rabbit punches. Like, it just, my God. Someone's got to fix that. I mean, I don't know what it is. Like, don't they have Devon Dudley back there as an agent? And he's not looking at those punches and saying, guys, you're punching like a bunch of pussies. Like, honestly, like, you really need to stop and, like, reassess. Like, you know, go back and think about what you learned in wrestling school. I'm sorry. I know. I'm not a worker. I shouldn't be commenting on this. But people talk about Shane McMahon's punches all the time. And I agree. But look at Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins' punches. Not much better. Anyway, main event time, and, well, Asuka finally won the women's title. She beat Becky Lynch and Charlotte. And I was wrong. I thought that, you know, Asuka was in there as a buffer. But no, she wasn't. And, like, are they out of their fucking minds? Becky Lynch, like, just got over, like, a pretty serious concussion. She jumped off the top. I mean, man, that looked like it hurt. She came down on a leg drop, like, right onto Charlotte with both legs and her ass just slamming right into the sternum of Charlotte. I'm just saying, like, I've never seen anybody hit a leg drop. Like, usually they do it kind of like here and keep the leg a little elevated above the throat to, like, lessen the impact. Here she just, like, leg dropped right into the whole entire body of Charlotte. And I was like, holy fuck. I mean, like, I don't know if that's how it was supposed to be done. Anyway, she hit that, and I'm like, her fucking neck. Like, are they, you know, in everything, in the back of her head, are they really going to take that chance with the whiplash? And then she does a full-away slam, right, with the tables, and her neck just, I think, who was it who was doing it? I think it was Charlotte who threw her into the table next to the barricade. And again, whatever it was, I remember her neck going into the table and the barricade. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, are they really smashing the back of her head into the fucking barricade and the table? And then to top it all off, Charlotte then does a senton onto Becky, like, and all this is like less than a month after her fucking concussion. Are they fucking crazy? But anyway, like, I was happy to see that Asuka finally won the title. Like I said, I started off 2018 not liking Asuka much, and I believe I put her in the list of the, you know, the top 10 wrestlers that I changed my mind about, that I was wrong about. And I put Asuka on there. I said, you know, after all the hype went away, and I saw that, you know, Asuka, She does have charisma. She's got an upside to her. And I just didn't like how they were misusing her, especially if they're building her up. I started to feel bad. I started to feel almost as a sympathetic fan of sorts towards her. And so I was happy to finally see her get the title. And, you know, I was happy to see that at least. But, like, there you go. What happened to Becky Lynch? What happened to the man? What happened to her push? They're already taking her title away. I mean, oh God. So, I mean, if I had to choose, I mean, I would say that this was the best match on the show, this main event here with the women. I mean, you know, it was pretty decent for what it was. Not, like, amazing, and they're out of their fucking minds for doing all those spots to Becky. Like, when you really think about it, Asuka really had the easiest time during this match. She didn't really take a lot of the big shots and the big spots. It was actually Becky, the one who had the concussion, who was taking the brunt. Like, she was the one who did the biggest spot of the match, the leg drop. And to have her do that, I think they're out of their minds. But, you know, I look at this show, and this was boring as shit. And I'm going to keep remembering the fact that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, these fan favorites, right? Their match was actually the only match on this whole show where people started to heckle them. And it was boring as shit. I'm never for heckling the wrestlers, but my God, it was boring as hell. It truly was. I mean, it was a really, like, bad match. Just so slow. And, you know, you would think, like I said, that they could have at least tried to save it a little bit by having them work at a faster pace, try to tell the story that they failed to tell outside the ring. But no. Terrible, terrible pay-per-view. Boring almost the whole way through. If thinking about watching this, if you missed it, please do not. Anyway, guys, so yeah, Raw's tonight. Vince McMahon's going to be there. He's going to make his big announcement to shake things up. He'll probably open the show, so I don't know what to tell you, you know. I feel like I say that all the time. I don't know what to, because I really don't know what to tell you. Like, honestly, like, it's a bad show. It's going to keep being a bad show, and I want to get my hopes up about things getting better. Unless Vince McMahon's big bombshell is really that big. I mean, anyway, guys, please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. Check out some of the content I have posted here. And thank you for watching, guys. This has been your YWC champ, and I'm signing out.